The people I want to tell you about today, Morgan Pomeroy and his identical twin James, were born in 2004, but they were born 10 weeks early and of a syndrome called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. Because of this condition, Morgan is profoundly disabled, and although they live together in a lovely home in Chester, as Morgan has grown older, his care needs have increased and the home has become a little bit too small for them all. Yeah. I don't know if you know, Hazel, but being profoundly disabled can be really expensive. So the bath that Morgan loves costs £11,000. Okay. I know. So in order to find their next house and ensure it's suitable for wheelchairs, carers, lots of other needs, the family set up a website to tell their story and invite help in whatever way they can. And they raised something like £16,000 in the first 12 hours. They have a real heart for God, and that God has strengthened them and held them throughout their journey. And so I spoke with parents Sharon and Rob, and they told me a little bit more about their twin boys.
Our gorgeous boys, they're 16 and a half. They were born at 29 and a half weeks, so roughly 10 weeks premature. And it was all because of this condition that can occur with identical twins only, called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. And what happens is the placenta doesn't fully divide and one twin ends up receiving blood from the other twin rather than it coming from the mother. And without medical intervention, the outcome is absolutely dire for one or both twins. But medical science has advanced a lot over the last few years. Anyway, because of this, Morgan sustained very significant brain damage very early on. And James was in hospital for the first 13 months, nearly straight. So they were both very poorly. Morgan's now profoundly disabled. He has severe spastic cerebral palsy. He can't do anything for himself at all, really.
He has vision impairment, epilepsy, something called complex health needs, which I'd never heard of before we had Morgan. But that means that he needs specialist care.
But although he's fully dependent in that way, he's also aware. And he loves people, he loves noise and activity, he loves cuddles especially, and he loves music. So we have a lot of music. Especially live music, yeah.
And tell me a little bit, for you as a family, how has your faith sustained you?
Absolutely vital. I think it's probably fair to say that we wouldn't be here without it.
Yes.
There have been so many highs and lows, and the lows have been desperately low.
Yeah.
We often say that we live very much on the edge, like all the time, that we're only ever a few centimetres away from the edge and it doesn't take much to push us over. And we have been sustained and supported at rock bottom by God so many times.
Yeah.
But there have also been miracles, like when James was very, very seriously ill, which happened many times, and we had the conversation about turning off life support, and he just pulled through.
Yeah.
And there were thousands of people all around the world praying for it, which this has just been very, very much part of our story.
And he recovered from a state which the intensive care doctor said very, very few children, babies, recover from. That was with sepsis. So, yeah, there have been, as you say, there have been miracles, but often God seems to work through time, doesn't he? And we would love there to be quick fixes. But often he works in our character through sustained periods of time. And yeah, as you say, God has been our rock throughout. It hasn't always been, we've not always been full of faith. Sometimes we've been feeling weak with our knees knocking. But of course, God is faithful even when we are faithless. So yeah, it's been incredible.
Where do you see God in the boys?
The biggest change that I think I found in my personal perspective was in understanding the value of a person. Because, you know, we live, especially in the West, we live in quite a performance-orientated culture. And who you are as a person is very much about what you do and what you achieve and how you are in terms of competition and with respect to other people. And, of course, Morgan isn't on any kind of performance graph like that. There isn't anything he can do for himself. And we became aware through, I suppose, how much we love him as parents that his value was clearly not derived from anything like that. He has supreme value because God made him and God placed that value in him. And
Jesus died for him.
Totally. And so helping us to see that in Morgan, his value has really helped me to understand the value of all people.
Yes.
And he's incredibly beautiful as a person. He's also a very good-looking kid, and that helps. But he is a beautiful person, and we know that, and it's clear to us, and we know that that is because of what God has done in him.
Yeah.
And you could look at somebody like Morgan and say, why did God allow this brokenness? But hey, we're all broken. We're all damaged. We're all imperfect in so many different ways. With Morgan, you can see it and it's obvious, but he is no less beautiful than any other person that God has made, and that is made in the image of God. That's what makes a person a valuable thing, a valuable person.
Yes, you said it.
And that was Sharon and Rob Pomeroy talking about their sons Morgan and James and how they've experienced God in their journey with them both. That was very powerful, wasn't it, to hear their honesty and just how God has really spoken to them through their son Morgan and showing his supreme value and just his beauty through him. I thought that was very encouraging. And if you would like to find out more about the family or offer your support, you can visit their website, and that's at homeformo.com. Home, sorry, not at, it's homeformo.com.